Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 270 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. So relationships are just the best, aren't they? I say that laughing because I think also relationships can sometimes be the worst. And a lot of times the relationships that we have can be a little bit of both, right? You know, it's true because we're human. We have natural human reactions. And we have varying ideas of how things should be. A lot of that has to do with how we're brought up. Now, out of all the people in the world, outside of our blood relatives, of course, we pick a few people that were like, hey, I like you. Let's hang out, like a lot. And if it's your partner, then you even decide you're going to live in the same house and sleep in the same bed every night forever. It's kind of an interesting thing if you think about it. Now, I love being married, and I love my friends, and I love my family too. It brings a lot of joy to my life, but sometimes it does bring pain too. I mean, maybe someone hurts your feelings, or they forget your birthday, or they do something terrible. And now you carry around this grudge that never feels very far from the surface. Do you have any of those? Maybe you have some now. You can go around like that for a little while, but eventually it either goes away because you've decided to let it go, or it grows because you keep talking about it or keep thinking about it. There's this phrase that used to drive me nuts. Well, it's kind of a question, but it's this: do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? That question used to rub me so wrong. I was like, that's not even fair. It's not that I'm trying to be right. I'm just not trying to be someone's doormat. I mean, I felt like that was such a wrong statement or question, because what if you are right? What if you feel deeply wronged? Shouldn't that person be punished? I mean, me letting someone who wronged me off the hook doesn't seem fair. I want to be mad at them. They deserve for me to be mad at them. Because if I didn't stay mad, then they won't know how wrong they were. Talk about having a chip on your shoulder. I had one about that question for sure. But I was missing the entire point, which probably meant maybe I wasn't ready to hear it. You see, it doesn't make the other person right if you're the bigger person and you let something go. Or if you just forgive someone in your heart, that doesn't make them right. And you're not saying what happened is okay. It simply means you're not letting yourself be a victim to your ego any longer over this. Because your inner guidance system, it has a different view of it. Your ego is what wants to hang on to it. Forgiveness is not always deserved by that other person, but it is always deserved by you. That's one way you can have your own back, is forgiving even when it's not deserved, because it will free you of a big burden. Now, I've had friends all my life that other people could not stand to be around. Some anyway. And most of the time it's because I sort of let things roll off my back pretty easily. I don't hang on to grudges. I forgive quickly. But every once in a while, though, the bad will start to outweigh the good. And I have to distance myself a little bit. I have to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. For a while, I used to think that I was tolerating some things because I was optimistic that things would change. But when they didn't, I had to have my own back. You always have to have your own back. If someone is bringing you down, it isn't your job to bring them up. No matter how hard you try, in fact, you can't. That old saying, lie down with dogs, get up with fleas, it's a good one. Because a dog with fleas doesn't all of a sudden have no fleas if he hangs out with a dog that has no fleas. That's not how it works. The dog with fleas will almost always contaminate the other dog too, and now they're both in the same boat with fleas. It's a good analogy. If you're hanging with someone because you think you can raise them up, odds are you're going to be dragged down too. Just saying. I've read that it's better to be alone than in a toxic relationship. I don't know if there's a truer statement out there. There may be an equally true statement, but not more true. When you're in a relationship, whether it's with a friend or a partner or a family member even, if it's toxic and it's constantly weighing you down, constantly the source of anxiety or drama or sadness, what's that doing to you long term? You're picking up fleas left and right. And what is allowing yourself to be around someone like that telling you about yourself? It's telling you you're not worthy of better treatment. You don't matter enough to change things. Or worse yet, you're subconsciously saying you aren't capable of changing things. You're stuck and it isn't your fault. That feels kind of victim-y to me. And we don't allow ourselves to play the victim. It's not a cool role. Sometimes in order to have your own back, you have to distance yourself from people, from relationships that are dragging you down. But what if you're in a situation you can't change? Well, you can have your own back there too. I'm going to tell you how. Holocaust survivor and psychologist Viktor Frankl, you may have read his book, but so good. His story is really, really just heart-wrenching. He lost most of his family, including his wife and his parents, to concentration camps during the war. Now, he survived 3 years in concentration camps, including Auschwitz, the toughest one. He was able to survive because he told himself that his body may be deteriorating because of lack of food and harsh conditions that he couldn't change. But he can build up his inner strength because no one can take that from him. That's one thing he can control. We all have that same control. We can all work on building up our inner strength. Our inner strength can be built up just like our physical strength. That's something I've been working on regularly over the last few years. I was joking with my little sister and I told her I've done so much self-work that I feel like I've changed a lot from where I was. I'm like a different person from where I was 4 years ago. She laughed and said, yeah, you're kind of more of an asshole now. Sorry about that. But she was joking, I think. But I laughed and I said, I needed to be more of an asshole realistically. I needed to grow a backbone and stand up for myself more. Now, I'm never mean to anyone. That's not my personality. It never will be. But what she meant, because I asked her, was that I no longer tolerate things that I used to tolerate. And I no longer just go along with what everyone else wants to do, giving no value to what I want to do. I don't do that anymore. I'm worthy of more, and you are too. And some people may not like that. And they'll say, you've changed. And to that, I say, good. If you haven't changed, then that means you haven't grown. And if someone isn't on board with you growing, well, that's something they're going to have to get used to, isn't it? Especially if you keep listening to my podcast. And look, I'm not saying take a blowtorch to your friend group or your family if they do something that hurts you, because friends and family are going to disappoint you and upset you. And you're going to disappoint them and upset them. So just know that. What I am saying is to be mindful of your own peace, especially in relationships. Know when a relationship is doing you more harm than good. And that doesn't just go for your friends. It also goes for your blood relatives. Sometimes we think because someone is family, we just have to put up with how they treat us. No, you do not. You do not have to do anything of the sort. Maybe you need to stand up for yourself a little more. Have your own back. And it doesn't have to be a big drama or a big conversation. You just have to make a decision that you're worthy of being treated well. And if it's a situation that isn't going to change, then you have to change something inside you. You have to work on your inner strength. Remember, I love this statement Wayne Dyer always says, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So, hanging on to a grudge hurts you more than it hurts anyone else. This is a true statement. Forgive for yourself. Even if you don't think they deserve forgiveness, you do. And if you're in a situation you can't change the way you look at it, and it has to change. Also, work every day on building your inner strength. I do this through meditation, through journaling, positive input, and limiting negative input. The quickest way for me to be a Debbie Downer is by paying attention to the news, just FYI. Let that go. And finally, optimism can be learned. One way you can start is by starting the day telling yourself, today's going to be a good day. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love that. My challenge to you guys this weekend is to evaluate your relationships. Where do you need to stand up for yourself more? Where do you need to change the way you're looking at something? Is there a relationship that could use a little bit of distance? And finally, where do you need to forgive? Even if it's just for you. Because they may not deserve it, but you do. Share this episode with 3 people. You know they need to hear it. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.